Welcome everybody to this BERA AGM 2022. I'm Vivian Bournefield, the current president of BERA, and I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual meeting, which we're all finding a little strange, but hopefully we will be able to get through the business in the way that we need to. There'll be opportunities to ask any questions, and if you could put those in the chat, and I'll do my best to keep. So first of all, we have not received any declarations of conflicts of interest. So I think we can proceed straight on to the BERA race equality policy.
Thank you, Vivian. I mean, I think for this, most of the information is included in the papers. We made a commitment when we developed the policy and the action plan sort of about 15 months ago now, that we would bring an account of progress made against it to this meeting every year, so we could be held to account for progress. I think as people will be able to see from the paperwork, we've made significant progress in some areas. I'm delighted in particular by the progress we've made at all levels of governance within BERA, because it is important to have representation and diversity of voices and backgrounds in our governance structure. I think we can also be pleased with the amount of support we've been able to invest in research on these issues, not least the small grants funds that we were able to fund last year and were published over this summer. Also the curriculum investigation grants will be publishing the outcomes of soon. And then a quick trail, although those of you who are at conference would have seen the preliminary from the research team conducting the equality and diversity work as part of the BERA State of the Discipline project, and that report in full will be out before the end of the year, which I think will be good to show some light on some of the challenges that education as a whole in higher education faces in terms of equality and diversity. And the next stage for us with that will be looking at what BERA can do in terms of our leadership role in addressing some of those inequalities and inequities. There are clearly some areas in our own action plan that we are not making as good progress as we would like to have done, particularly around our publications and in terms of editorial teams. We are shortly going to be recruiting, as I'm sure Ros will say, under her item later, for Burgeon Review. It would be wonderful to see strong, diverse teams coming forward for those. But because of I suppose the term span of those journals, progress in those areas is inevitably slower than it could be in some other areas. So I think we've done a lot. There is still much to do, and then a lot to keep up the momentum from the progress that we've made so far. That's what I would say in terms of that.
Thank you. And no questions at the moment. So we'll move on to updates to the Articles of Association.
This is a largely procedural matter. Our Articles of Association haven't been updated for a while. There's a few things in there that regulations and legal things have changed, as well as terminology within BERA. So as you'll see from the version in front of people, they are presented for an update here that is effectively tidying them up and doing that. So there's nothing more to say really about that. Happy to take any questions on any specific elements of those. But if not, we can move to approve them. I think they are just tidying things up rather than changing any fundamentals to the way we're governed.
So are people content that we move to approving them?
Not seeing
any objections
coming up on the...
Okay, so we can move on to an unusual item because of the timing of the AGM. We've got a double act here. And I think we begin with the previous president, Dominic. Hello, Dominic.
Hello, Vivian, President. Okay, so very briefly, I want to pay tribute to everyone in BERA, BERA office staff, everyone connected to BERA for the extraordinary work that was done during COVID lockdowns, the extraordinary digital output that now is being built into BERA's future. So massive thank you. I want to say something about the state of the discipline initiative, the projects within that. These are now reaching the conclusions in a number of cases. In particular, the census. We've now seen the draft of the final report, and we'll be talking about that and how it will come to ultimately be published for BERA members and for everyone wider. And it has some strong positives and some things that we all as a community should be really concerned about and will need to act on. It's been fantastic to rejoin the World Education Research Association. I attended San Diego, a physical meeting, and only over the last few weeks I've had 2 virtual meetings. One, we're a council, and I've also been asked to be part of the Capacity Development Committee, which I'm happy to do. Finally, from me, an event that Vivian and I both attended was to celebrate and reflect on the work of the relatively new BERA College of Reviewers. And we're delighted with the new members who've been appointed and how all of that group are helping BERA with the robustness of its peer review processes. So I shall hand over to President number 2 for today.
Thank you very much. You'll have seen, hopefully, my report. So I just want to highlight a few things looking forward. Just to alert you to the call which closes in January 2023 for the BERA Research Commission. And in line with the strategic priority I outlined in my presidential address, we're focusing on the impact of educational research on the public, setting the agenda. And I have the privilege of organising the Presidential Roundtable seminar series, which again is going to focus on a key interest, which is on the place of professional learning in higher education. And you'll be notified shortly about the first of those events and invitations to participate. And that will continue through a series of seminars, and hopefully will push forward the idea of strengthening our links with professions with an interest in educational research more broadly. I also have been working on beginning to develop our external links. We have good connections, particularly through the Academy of Social Sciences, which we're hoping to continue to work with and to reach out across all the social sciences, and representation, as we have done in the past at AERA, and this coming year also at Early, and looking at how we have members who belong to BERA but are also members of other professional and associations and learning societies. So you'll see in the report meetings and beginning to look at how we can build capacity within and beyond BERA. And again, the president only is able to fulfil their role because of the support of the council, the wider membership, and particularly the BERA office, who keep us on the right track as far as they can. I'm happy to take any questions. Okay, so we'll move on then to the annual reports from the different committees, beginning with Ros, the Publications Committee report.
Do something there. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure to be here. I want to start really by my colleagues here, thanking people, and to also welcome Hannah Marston, who is our new publications manager. Fabulous addition to the BERA team, without whom we could not do the work of this committee. But I'd also like to acknowledge the members of the committee who come from all different parts of BERA. We have teacher practitioners on the committee, as well as people based in higher education. So we're a broad group of people, so I hope we are making the best decisions for BERA on behalf of the wider membership. Also, please like to acknowledge the BERA office. So you have all the details in my report, but just to pull out some highlights, as you can see, it's been another extremely busy year. We're very busy on this committee with all of the different aspects that fall within its remit. In terms of our journals, the 4 journals continue to fly the flag for BERA, so that's brilliant. So thank you to our editors, editorial teams and board members, without whom this would not happen. I'd also like to thank our publisher Wiley, who worked closely with us in helping us make sure our journals are so widely read. We have been publishing, as always, a lot of different special issues and sections, so many topical that people find interesting to read. So thanks to the broader community, because it's all of you who contribute both in terms of publishing and seeking to publish in our journals, and in equally reviewing for them. So thank you, please continue to contribute in this way. We are continuing to monitor the evolving open access situation because of the financial, but also strategic and ethical issues arising for this. So this is very much on our horizons. I'd like to say in the context where impact factors for the journals in general have decreased because of the way they've been reported, it is a real fabulous highlight to see that BJET is bucking this trend. And whilst we're talking about BJET, we have recently had, as you perhaps know, a very competitive tender for a new editorial team. We're interested in that. Some really strong applications. And whilst we have made a decision about this, we will be announcing it very shortly as to who the successful team are. So look out for that. In terms of the curriculum journal and review of education, we're really excited that they're actually receiving impact factors for the first time in 2023. So that's a great testament to them. Burge is publishing for us some virtual special editions that highlight what BERA has been doing since 1975, because it will not escape. You'll notice that we will soon be at our 50th anniversary. We are going to be recruiting new editorial teams for both Burge and Review of Education, who will be in office from the start of January 2024. And the recruitment process is starting imminently. So please consider if you could put yourself forward for that. Just building on what Nick has said, we are looking for diverse teams, fantastic opportunities to get involved in this, you as members in our organisation. So please consider putting yourself forward if you want to talk informally, either to the existing editorial teams or myself. I'd be very happy to do that. Just a few other things I'd like to highlight. Thanks to the blog, that is going from strength to strength. I'm looking at Jerry across the room because he'll be talking shortly in a different capacity. We have a steady flow of output. 160 blogs were published this year. We've had the 1000th blog post curation, which was really interesting. And the curated BERA Bites are brilliant. If you haven't seen them before, they're really fantastic teaching resource. There's lots of other publications, as you will have seen, from the small grants, the BCF curriculum investigation grants, research commissions, etc., etc. But I just wanted to flag up our new series with Emeralds, which we noted this time last year. We've had the first 3 volumes. We've had some proposals for these around mental health and wellbeing, sustainability and diversity and inclusion, which is fantastic, and we hope to be going ahead with those. We will be putting out calls and soliciting interest in further editions for that series. So if you have an idea, please come and talk to us about it. We also have the wonderful SAGE International Handbook of Research-Informed Education Policy and Practice, which I know Vivian is involved in with Dominic. So we're looking forward to that coming to fruition as well. You probably, I hope you read when it lands on your door, Research Intelligence, which is our member magazine. We continue to highlight lots of interesting topical issues here. We are planning a special edition feature that's going to run across the next 18 months or so, linked with our 50th anniversary, which will be looking at some of the original archive footage we have and commissioning some commentary on the period. So this will be interesting, I think, for our members. If you're interested in being an editor for this, please do get in touch. We do solicit this. I think I said it this time last year. You know, we have all sorts of interesting things, as you will have seen. We featured mapping the discipline, education for environmental sustainability, pandemic, protest, recovery and opportunities, and saving our staff in the last year, with off the cutting floor coming your way very shortly. So if you have some ideas, please come forward. Finally, I just want to say that we are looking to put together the 5th edition of the BERA ethical guidelines, which will be drafted in time for our anniversary in 2024. And you may have seen we are seeking an editor to work with the recommendations put forward to bring these together. You know, this is one of the things if you're interested in this, it's the thing that gets cited most frequently, probably all the things we do in BERA. So fantastic opportunities to get involved. So lots going on, plenty to get involved in, and thank you to all of you. Happy to take questions.
Thank you.
No questions.
Right, so thank you. We'll move on. So the next is our report from the engagement committee. Jerry's making his way up the room.
Hobbling.
Thank you, Jerry.
Great stuff. Hello, everybody. Hope you can see me. Welcome. Following on from what everybody else is saying, lots of thank yous, not least to members of the engagement committee, definitely the BERA office, members in general, but also if you are a SIG convener and you're here today, a big thank you to you for all of the work that you're doing, and also just thank you for attending the SIG conveners open day that we had a couple of weeks ago, which was a really exciting event, and came up with lots and lots of suggestions and initiatives that we're now sort of looking at with a view to taking forward over the next 12 months. And a big thank you to the BERA College of Reviewers. It's been another bumper year in terms of membership. You can see in the report that we have 2,651 members. That was at the time that the report was written, although currently I'm reliably informed that we've hit the 3,000 mark, which is incredibly exciting. There are some calendar issues in there, so that figure will drop slightly, but only just. And for all of us, I think that poses lots of interesting questions around the fact that we have 29% of our current members are students, 20% are teachers, 30% are first-time members. But also just under 50% are full members. So there's a huge amount there to be celebrated, but I think for all of us, lots of questions about the sorts of initiatives that we need to be doing over the next 12 months. And SIG conveners, obviously we were talking about these issues at the open day a couple of weeks ago. Funding has been fantastic. We funded just over £70,000 worth of grants and all sorts of different initiatives over the last 12 months. We've had a tremendously successful research commission around education for environmental sustainability, with lots of amazing outputs, including BERA blogs, a specially curated issue of research intelligence, podcasts, a policy briefing, community guidance documents, and a policy manifesto. And it's really important now to sort of acknowledge that the funding that we're offering is now raised to £20,000, and the current applications for the next commission will close in February 2023. So there's still lots of time to go for it, but definitely worth thinking about that deadline. Another thing that's really important to sort of celebrate and champion is the fact that because of the current environmental state of the economic state of affairs that all of us are undergoing, we've frozen the membership for this year, which is something to really, I think, to be proud of. And just sort of, if you're not aware of that, then it's just sort of championing that now. We have lots of other awards in place, not least the BERA Undergraduate Award, and we've also got a School Pupil Award in the current design phase, which we're hoping to launch in 2023. The developments that the Early Career Researcher Network are well known, but I need to thank Sin Wang Chong, Gihan Ismail, Leanne Henderson, and Nicola Marlowe for all of the amazing work that they're doing there, and to announce the fact that BERA is creating piloting over the next 12 months 2 networks, or one definitely in the short term, one slightly in the longer term. The short term will be the LGBTQ+ network, which is going to be led by Leanne Henderson and Oliver Hooper. Oliver Hooper, as I'm sure most people will be aware of, has done tremendous things with the ECR network over the last 4 to 5 years. And the second network, which will be launched over the next 12 months, will be the Independent Researchers Network, which was formerly a forum. We would encourage, I think probably this isn't the last thing I'm going to say here, we would encourage all of our members who haven't already done so to fill in their membership profiles on our website. This is incredibly important in terms of the work that we're doing in relation to equality and diversity. And without that information, it's very hard for us to sort of make the specific improvements that we so urgently need to address. So if you can, if you have not filled those, please do so. And I think that's probably all I'm going to say for this. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. It's a question from Richard Davis, not a comment on the report, more members, but it's depressing the attendance at the AGM today.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes, I agree. Something for us to think about, definitely. Any other questions or comments?
We do have some members voting by proxy.
Okay. Good. I think that's lovely.
If you didn't catch that, it's the fact that we've got some people who are not virtually present or physically present who are voting by proxy. So maybe not quite as depressing as it looks, but certainly something we need to continue to work on. So thank you, Richard, for that question.
Great.
Okay, so moving on then to Conference and Events Committee report.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So I'm not going to speak for very long. The report from CEC, the Conference and Events Committee, is fairly comprehensive in the papers, and you'll see that we've had a really full events programme this year, including, thankfully, a return to an in-person annual conference, which I know those of you who were able to attend, many of you really enjoyed. It was just so lovely to see people again. Embodied people, not just as we are this afternoon. And it takes a great deal of people, a large group to run our successful events programme. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank, first of all, I'd like to thank Marie Moore, our amazing BERA events manager, and the rest of the BERA office team. There's an awful lot of work goes on behind the scenes to put on these amazing, successful events that we have. I'd like to thank the SIG conveners because the contribution they make towards conference and also the many events that we run is really core to BERA activity. So a real special thank you to them. I'd like to thank those of you who submit the abstracts to our conference and who participate in the events, and also those who review the abstracts, the applications for bursaries and proposals. And last of all, I would like to thank Conference and Events Committee for their strategic input right through this year. We've had some difficult decisions to make during the pandemic, and it feels like we're coming out the other end. So that's all I really have to say in addition to the papers, but happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
No questions. Thank you.
Okay.
So now Chief Executive's report. Nick again.
Back. I mean, there's an awful lot in the report, so I'm not sure there's an awful lot I need to say. I would just point out again the ongoing situation with UCL, which is both a blessing and a curse for us really as an association, but I'm grateful for the continued waiver of rent for the space that we're in. But I hope that by this time next year we will have concluded the discussions and the relationship will have moved on to a new footing. So that's something I would like to say. And like others, I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of you, both the ones in the room in terms of giving the reports, but also a lot of the people watching this afternoon who give their time to BERA in a voluntary capacity, be it as SIG conveners, council members, committee members, or journal editors and roles like that. All the sort of achievements that we're highlighting today in the reports are as a result of the efforts that people put in. So I'd just like to take that opportunity on behalf of the office of thanking all of you for giving your time to the association.
Thank you. No questions, I don't think.
Okay,
No.
I shall make way for Sean.
So now we're moving on to the financial reports, and Sean Hayes, the Treasurer, will speak to this.
Thank you, Vivian. Sean Hayes, as Vivian says, your Treasurer here. This will this is my 7th report to the AGM as Treasurer, and actually, colleagues, it's going to be my last one because in my final year, the AGM will take place after my term of Treasurer ends, which ends in September. I suspect the AGM next year will be a month or two after that. So the first thing I'd like to do, as other colleagues have, is to say a massive thank you to the BERA Professional Office in the way they've supported me as Treasurer and in the way they support my Finance and Operations Committee. Thank you to all of the members of the Finance and Operation Committee who do great work on behalf of BERA. And thank you to my leadership colleagues who are mainly here in the room today. And the really good piece of news for the association moving forward is that we have already appointed Diana Burton as the new Treasurer. And Diana will take over officially in September 2023. And what I can say about Diana is she has been a BERA member since the 1990s, a bit like myself, has been an active member of the BERA Risk Assessment and Audit Committee since 2015 and chaired it from 2017 to 2022. She has also represented the RAC, that committee, on my Finance and Operations Committee. And the key thing we'll be able to do over the next 9 months is that I will be able to play a major part in Diana's induction into the role of Treasurer. In terms of our finances, I'm very happy to say that we are presenting you with a very healthy set of accounts for the full year of 2021, which is what we report to this AGM. Our accounts are in a very healthy place. Our reserves have risen year on year. The audit report is very positive and reassuring about the state of our accounts and our finances. As at December 21, we had reserves of just over 2.5 million, up from 2.2 million the year before and 1.8 million the year before that. So one could say, despite everything that we've had thrown at us in the last 2 or 3 years, not least the COVID-19 pandemic, struggling economy, war in Europe, all kinds of things, BERA has managed to sustain a very healthy and build on a very healthy set of financial reserves. Moving through my report, one of the key things we've been exploring and enacting over the last year and a bit is the possibility and prospect of BERA becoming its own employer, and I can just report that we have been talking about that today, and that project is now well advanced. We would hope that that project will be concluded during the course of 2023. And I've already mentioned my committee. We also have, just in terms of our reserves, you know from previous reports and this report, we have now invested 1.15 million in our investment account. The value of that in the final accounts for the year 2021 was just over 1.5 million, so substantially up at that point in time, though the volatility across the country and beyond has meant that the more recent valuation is a bit lower than that, but we still have more in the investment account than we have actually invested in capital. Okay, so we have already set a budget and we're working through that for 2022, and we have just today set a budget for 2023. Colleagues, as this is the last time I will I address the AGM as your treasurer. I would just like to say this. No, I'd just like to say, colleagues, that being your treasurer since 2015 has been one of the defining experiences of my life. And not only have I been your treasurer since 2015, I've been connected to the association for 27 years, since I attended my first BERA annual conference in Bath in 1995. And by the time of the 50th anniversary in 2025, and I hope to see you at an annual conference that year, I will have done 30 years. I will have been connected with BERA for 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any questions? I'm sure people would want to join me in marvelling at Sean's commitment to actually serving BERA in the position of treasurer, and he's going to still be supporting in the handover period to the new treasurer, and we're very grateful for that.
Thank you, Vivian.
Time served.
Still got a bit more time to serve, actually.
So now we move on to risk update. As you'll know, we keep an eye on what's happening, and as far as possible, try to ascertain where the levels of risk are in different aspects of our work.
Yeah, and I mean, the update here is presented for information. Really, we're grateful to the work of the Risk Assessment and Audit Committee, who take an independent view of those risks, ask searching questions of both us as professional staff, but also the committees in terms of their areas of review. And I think it's presented here. I mean, the committee met actually last week, so there have been updates on this. I think it's fair to say that there are areas of significant risk over time in different areas of our business, but our robust finances, as Sean outlined, stand us in good stead to mitigate those risks and manage our way through. But undoubtedly, we're in a slightly more turbulent climate, as are most people working in higher education at the moment, than we have been in the relatively recent past. So navigating our way through that will be something everyone is very aware of over the next few years. I think that's all I need to say on risk.
Thank you. And do we have any questions?
No, just lots of thanks to Sean.
Yes. Sure. Okay, so we'll move on then now to notification of BERA elections results.
Again, this is just reported to the AGM as a matter of record. Just to advertise, we will be opening, well, it's technically open now, in your newsletter on Friday, the call for the next BERA president, succeeding Vivian in 2024, but succeeding Dominic as vice president in September 23. If there are people out watching this who have an interest in that, please do get in touch if you want to discuss that more informally before nominations close for that in January. And we will also be opening the call for ordinary members of council as well. So if those of you that are not already on council who are watching this, and there are some, please do consider putting yourself forward and giving you that role. As full information will be available on the website. And it's always great to get the contribution of council to the work that we do, and really important that our membership are represented on that body.
Yes, I'd like to endorse that and encourage people to come forward, and if people want to have informal conversations, then please do. We're only as good as our membership, and we want to be as representative as we possibly can. So please don't be shy about putting yourself forward to participate in some of these roles and possibilities. Okay, so we move on to the minutes of the meeting in AGM on 9th December 2021. This is really for you to comment now if you've got any matters arising from those minutes, or you want to raise any questions of accuracy. Nothing at the moment. Okay, so I take it that we can approve those minutes. If anyone shouts in the next few minutes. Okay, so I think those minutes are approved. And we now move on to any other business.
Table in the past.
Yeah. Oh, there's a hand up.
Okay. Does this work?
Just put in the comments and then in the chat.
I think anything has to go in the chat, Lucy.
Well, while that's happening, we just this will be Don's last AGM as vice president, although he will still be on council next year as our BERA representative, leading into us hosting the BERA focal meeting in 2024. So I know we sort of thanked people generally, but we should thank Don for his work as president and continued work as vice president, particularly around the State of the Discipline project that was mentioned earlier.
Thank you.
Okay. Lucy, thank you. I don't think you can just speak. I think you have to put something in the chat. I'm sorry, or can't you?
We're trying.
He's unmuted me, so.
Oh, brilliant. Brilliant.
I meant rather, is it an etiquette thing? Am I okay to speak rather than whether I physically can?
Go ahead.
I just wanted to raise the ongoing issue of COVID and accessibility, and in particular note that there are many people, myself included, that have been prevented from giving talks, and in particular this year from attending conference because of COVID. And the response of BERA initially in terms of organising it, but when I followed up with various people, has been extremely disappointing to me, and I'm really sad about it, and I would like to be able to just raise it as a matter of concern, and I'm worried that the same thing's going to happen next year, that we won't have the ability to attend conference in a hybrid fashion, because I'm not suggesting that nobody should ever go to conference, but I wasn't allowed to dial in, and not being able to support events in a hybrid capacity seems to be at odds with evidence-based thinking at present.
Thank you. I think Barry, as chair of the conference committee, is going to respond. Thank you, Lucy.
Thanks for the question, Lucy. Yes, we're really aware that not everybody can attend in-person meetings for a variety of reasons, you know, family commitments and also the ongoing COVID pandemic. CEC keep it under consideration, and one of the things that we do feel is, we know that some other learned organisations have tried to do hybrid conferences, but at the moment we believe that there isn't a platform that allows for an equitable, really quality experience for both virtual and in-person people. But we're keeping an eye out, and as soon as there is a platform that would allow that, we would certainly be open to using it. But at the moment, we just don't feel that there's a platform that would give a really good quality experience. So that's why we're going to try and keep the both virtual events going on, as well as in person for those who are able to attend.
Okay, thanks, sorry. And thanks, Lucy, for raising that question, and apologies for the clunkiness of the system. I'm glad you did manage to speak. Okay, there's a, I'll read out the comment, Jack, because not everybody in the room here can see it. So ARA has separated face-to-face presentations from virtual presentations. So again, this is something currently under review. So we do note that, and we will look to see how things play out with different, we do consult widely with other organisations and about how they're handling some of these issues. And so we will certainly be seeing how that works out. Certainly, The hybrid version at ARA last year was, I think, by everybody's agreement, not a great success. So we'll see how separating it out has worked for them, but thank you for pointing that out. I think that would appear to be it. I just want to say thank you very much for those of you who've attended virtually. And we do really appreciate your engagement and involvement in the work of BERA. We're only as good as our membership, so thank you very much, everybody. And I think now we will conclude this AGM.